Doom vivamos vivamos Epicureans. This is the BCE Comics Pod one-shot edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'm joined by...
Stojr from Stojr Shelf. How's it going, Nick?
I'm doing well, particularly since we are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and we're actually recording this on the day it's supposed to go out, and we're recording late, so this is probably coming out a day late, but that's okay. That's how things happen. All right, anyway, today's one-shot issue will be our brief thoughts on Uncanny X-Men number 185, Public Enemy. All right, so Henry Gyrich makes the argument that Rogue must be captured for the death of a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent when she infiltrated the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier in issue 182. He also has the prototype gun that Forge created that takes away superpowers. Well, Storm is also looking for Rogue, who has gone missing, but eventually finds her at a place where she would hide during her childhood. Now, as the two talk, Gyrich shows up and attacks, and in attempting to hit Rogue with his superpower-stealing gun, he hits Storm instead. Well, Forge arrives on the scene to take his gun back, and the whole scene has been watched by the Dire Wraiths, who fear that Forge's gun may lead to a weapon which could defeat them because they have some invasion plan of Earth or something like that's happening in ROM, and I don't remember what any of that is. All right, Stojr, what are your thoughts?
So I think what they say is it's like a proto version of something that could hurt them in the future. So this is kind of it's like going back in time and killing Hitler in his crib, except they don't have to go back in time. They just can see the future or something. I don't know anything about ROM, so other than some cameo appearances. I really enjoyed this because of the character development between kind of Storm and Rogue. I never knew of this issue, right? So the major plot point being, Storm's going to get hit with a gun that's going to take away her powers. That's going to lead into Lifedeath. That I knew. But how that happened, the fact that Storm and Rogue were kind of off on their own little adventure together here was a complete surprise to me, right? It's obviously the cover of this Epic collection, but I have never read this issue, never stumbled across it. I don't own this single issue. So for me, this felt, very new. It was fresh reading. I enjoyed how Storm was kind of letting Rogue test her powers by, siphoning off some of Storm's powers and then playing around with that. I thought that was all well done. I think we get a lot of the sort of Southern Belle stuff here with Rogue, which was really neat. We get Gyrich with that sort of, really stunning JR drawn suit on that first page. It seems to be a very long pant leg there, but real interesting, playing with different textures, I guess, and how they kind of show that stuff. So, I mean, I like this issue. I think the Dire Wraiths are kind of just squeezed into all of this stuff to, have some, crossover with ROM. They're interesting as we get into the next couple issues, so I don't hate them or anything like that. But it kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere because I have no idea what a Dire Wraith is and never seen these things before. But then again, the X-Men have dealt with aliens numerous times that, just kind of crop up. So it's not that out of the ordinary. I thought this was pleasant enough. I enjoyed the issue. What did you think?
Yeah, talking about the Dire Wraiths, I kind of remember they kind of come back a couple of times with the X-Men, don't they? I have this memory, and maybe I'm confusing the Dire Wraiths with something else, but I had this memory of a cover in the late 200s, early 300s or something, and Rogue is unfolding and Bishop is there, and I don't fully remember the story, but I thought Dire Wraiths were involved in that, but yeah, that's.
I don't think I've seen them around post Bishop, so. That I don't think so, but I mean, the time period that you're talking about, 250s or Bishop's around 280. I don't remember seeing them there. They could be in the mid 200s. They could be 250s, but that would have been just before Bishop.
Yeah,
so you might be right.
Yeah, I just can't remember. It's been so long. This is stuff that I read when I was I read some of this stuff in the mid 2000s in the Essentials collections, but that memory I have is something from when I was a kid. Anyway, I enjoyed this one. I thought this was a good issue, kind of exploring Rogue's motivations and finally sealing her as a member of the team. Like, we're already told that her actions in saving Colossus helped change the X-Men's opinion about her, but to me, this really kind of felt like the moment when Rogue herself is accepting that, yes, she is one of the X-Men, despite the misleading cover that we have for this issue, right? The cover looks like she's the big villain here, but she's not really.
Yeah.
I also liked how Gyrick is set up here. From his limited information, he is not wrong in viewing Rogue as a threat and a murderer, right? So his actions do kind of make sense given what he knows about the situation. I am confused by Mystique at this point, though. As a mutant terrorist, of course, why is she working with Forge and the government to begin with? Now, it makes sense that she was trying to prevent this weapon from falling into Gyrick's hands, but it feels like she is advancing a lot of the anti-mutant agenda when she's in her Raven Darkholm persona. So I'm just kind of curious as to what exactly all that's supposed to be.
I kind of look at it from the perspective of, keep your enemies close, type of mentality. She's obviously very upset when this weapon is kind of moving forward. And Gyrick has always been this character. I mean, he's an Avengers character, really. I mean, he's over here in X-Men for quite a while, I think. But the Avengers omnibus that I got last week, finally, the one that came out in December, that it has the last few X-Men epic collections, basically right before the modern epics, has a story arc with Gyrick, being the liaison to the Avengers again, kind of coming back and getting a second chance with them and things like that. So he crops up in multiple storylines, but he's always mistrusted. He's always, he's got something up his sleeve, or he's trying to pull something. So yeah, it's interesting to see him here. I mean, the whole government aspect of things with the Senate and the Act here, it's pretty well done. They're laying a lot of groundwork by showing you some of this boring stuff of committees about how something like this can move forward, right? Like it's and how there's like some real fear about what the X-Men are capable of, and specifically Rogue in this case, about how she can cause harm. I mean, she did attack the Shield helicarrier, and I'll go back to say, even though she didn't kill that agent, she's kind of framed for that. She was throwing those coins in without any understanding, so she could have killed somebody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Nah, you know what? I'll keep that to myself. I was just gonna say, we get a little hint of something in the future in this epic collection that also adds some clarity into this issue, but that's not for now. Stojr and I read ahead for these videos, but we'll just save that in our back pockets. All right. Well, again, if you guys have enjoyed our thoughts, follow us on YouTube. We're gonna read, rate, and review a big collected edition comic once a month, plus these daily one shots. Find us there for the schedule, and well. Thank you very much. We'll catch you next time.